please.
I'm grateful for life today. We are grateful for our nation, for our generation, local and official. So, foreign affairs.
I'm sure you all must have seen the report that was released by the National Bureau of Statistics early last week. Nigeria in the third quarter, the GDP grew by 2.38% in real terms year on year. This is compared to 1.81% for the corresponding period in the year 2018. And also, the growth in 2019 has shown to be much stronger every quarter, leading to a cumulative growth of 2.17% by the end of the third quarter. This is significantly higher than the growth by the third quarter of 2018, which was 1.73%. Clearly, our economy is on track to a much better performance in 2019 than it was in 2018. And to further emphasize on this growth is to report that we reported to Council that a total of 34 out of 46 economic activities actually grew in this third quarter. When you compare it to the previous year, where only 15 sectors of the 15 major activities showed growth in the corresponding period in 2018. So the third quarter growth is driven largely by the growth in the oil sector, which grew by 6.47%, and also that the non-oil sector itself grew by 1.85%, which, if you compare to the growth in the second quarter of 2019, was 2.47%. Coal mining has been reported as being the sector that has driven the most growth in the non-oil sector, but also the road transport sector, the air transport sector, telecommunications, as well as the cement production. Rail transport as well as pipelines also contributed significantly. Construction, agriculture also made very significant contribution. The agricultural sector in particular grew at a rate of 2.28%, and when you compare it to the same quarter 3 of 2018, which is 1.91%. So this is an encouraging performance also for the agricultural sector. I must report that the service sector was the slowest in terms of growth. The services sector grew at 1.87% in this quarter, and we're hoping that it will pick up in the fourth quarter of 2019. So finally, I want to also, we also reported to Council on capital importation. The capital inflows during the third quarter saw continuous strong inflows in total capital importation into Nigeria, with total value of capital import into the country standing at $5.38 billion US dollars, and this is in comparison to 5.82 billion in the second quarter of 2000, in the corresponding quarter in 2018. This is a slight decrease, but when you compare it to the second quarter of 2019, it's an increased performance. So for the first 3 quarters of 2019, capital importation, cumulatively what came in these 3 quarters in 2019 is 19.58 billion, and this is 34% higher than the amount that came into the country in the corresponding 3 quarters of 2018. So even though we hear in the press that there is a dip in capital importation, it's a slight dip, just comparing Q3 to Q2. But when you compare the 3 quarters of 2019 to the 3 quarters of 2018, it's a very much improved performance. Thank you, everyone.
Presented two memoranda and 1 report. The first memoranda was to approve the change of rates with respect to the FLIA, Erimo Iwaraja Road, linking excuse me, Ekiti and Osun states. I have a copy of that. And that road was awarded in 2009. The contractor has achieved about 85% of the works, so we're trying to complete that road. It has been slowed down by previous years of insufficient budget, and during that period, the price at which it was awarded and today's material prices have altered significantly. Cement, iron rod, labor, diesel, petrol, and all of that. So he's asking for a revision, which has been approved. So we've also extended completion period for him by 6 months. So we are hoping that this is one of the roads that will be completed in the new year. I think with the news of this approval, he will have comfort now to go back and work. The second memorandum was for the award of 3 roads in Igboho, Oloko Agbonle Road in Oyo, and Gulu Town to Yaba Town in FCT, between FCT and Niger State, and Sharada to Madobi and Dambore in Kano. So Council approved these roads for 7.249 billion for the first one in Oyo, 7.593 for the second one in Niger, and 4.510 for the third one in Kano. The last report really is an update to Council on the status of work on the roads across the states. And there are 2 broad categories here. There are the 524 road projects across the routes A1 to A9, across the routes A1 to A9, and to apprise Council of what is going on those projects, how much these contract prices are, the outstanding amounts that need to be paid to contractors for certificates, and how much we expect to spend next year as part of the report of our ministry to FEC about what progress we are making, what challenges we are facing, and what needs to be done. That report also includes the work being done on internal roads in 43 federal universities, 43 universities and federal institutions across Nigeria. We've finished, I think, 10. 33 are different stages of completion. It also includes work done on repair and maintenance of bridges like Tatabu, Tamburawa, Isagboro, Eko Bridge, Third Mainland Bridge, and so on and so forth, Independence Bridge, as part of infrastructure repair and upgrade. It also includes update on the performance of projects being funded under the infrastructure tax credit scheme approved as Order 7 by Mr. President. Those are projects like the Apapa Uwurunshoki Expressway, the Bodo Boni Bridge, this road, Obajana Kaba, and those other types of road. It also includes the progress on projects that are funded by multilateral loans under the China Exim Bank, like the Kwanga Kefi Highway and so on. It also covers work that is being done in terms of road signage, job creation, and that document, you might want, the Ministry of Information has a copy and they are proposing to share with you. This is the document that covers all of that, and there's an electronic copy also that this is consistent with my promise to you in the past that at some point I will provide a full update on what is going on our roads. Just to give you the amount for the project review. Where's that first? So the review was for 523.826 million naira. Thank you. That was number one. F1 Laye Erimo Iwaraja Road in Ekiti, and linking Ekiti and Osun State.
Thank you very much. I would have sought Council's approval for the ratification of the treaty on the prohibition of nuclear weapons. The treaty on the prohibition of nuclear weapons is the first globalization, also it's the first globally applicable and legally binding multilateral treaty to comprehensively prohibit nuclear weapons on the basis of international humanitarian law in order to free the world of nuclear weapons. The treaty, however, does not impede the rights of signatories to develop nuclear energy for peaceful purposes. On the 7th of July 2017, about 22 countries actually signed the treaty, but it needed 50. It needs 50 countries to ratify it. As of today, 34 countries have done so, including 2 in Africa, Gambia and South Africa. And by what we did today in Council, we become the 3rd country in Africa to ratify this treaty. I think the importance of ratification of this treaty is not lost on any of us. Nobody wants to see what happened in Hiroshima in 1945. Nor do we want to see a repeat of even what happened near home here in 1961, when the French actually tested their nuclear bomb in Niger Republic, and it had repercussions on neighboring countries. So this is what was achieved today. It's a very giant step towards maintaining world peace. Thank you very much. Yes.
Through the end of the year movement are already under our consideration. We have held meetings with our contractors last week. I believe you will have seen that in the reports. We have held meetings with our agencies, FEMA. We have also held meetings with collaborative agencies, Federal Road Safety Corps to ensure that we get the roads ready for the challenges that they pose at the end of the year in terms of more people, more vehicles, more goods to move around. We've asked our contractors to return to site for that purpose, even as they await payment, and go and stabilize those places where construction work has not been completed. So we expect this to happen. It will also be a matter for discussion at our National Council on Works tomorrow in Calabar. This is the major item because it's not just federal roads, state roads link into federal roads and constitute a national network. So we will expect some cooperation there. It's a brilliant question that you raise about how to use the funds, and you will recall that Mr. President, in the budget speech, had emphasized clearly that strategy was to focus on completing projects that we inherited and projects that we started. But like with all general principles, they admit of exceptions, compelling cases. So some of the roads that you've heard today, one of them links a port. So that's part of our strategy long term to help grow the economy, to help create more jobs, to deliver the interconnectivity that we all talk about. A road that links to a port is a strategic linkage of transport assets. And so sometimes, and then the roads that we approve are also part of the budget, is a law, so we're duty bound to execute laws. And those are all of the considerations, really, as to why we made those choices. You will see that our meeting took quite a while. We spent about 2 hours just debating this issue about whether we should actually award more roads or whether we should stop. It took about 2 hours just to even discuss this strategy. So I wish you were there. So these roads are so strategic and important for the collective ownership and connectivity that represents the diversity of our nation. And so right in there were very strong arguments about, look, this is our own benefit of democracy. Approve it for us.
Thank you.
Declined every year, every month for several months before we noticed an uptick in the last 2 months. And now headline inflation is at 11.61% as at the end of October. The slight increase in this inflation in October, between September and October, is due to the increases in food inflation. The food inflation increases we are ascribing to increases in prices of cereals, including also prices of rice and fish. And part of the reason is the border closure. But the border closure is very, very short and temporary. And the increase, by the way, is just about 2 basis points. Remember that there was a time inflation was at 9%, and it grew to about 18% in January 2017 when we were into recession. The relationship between inflation and interest rates and growth is managed by the monetary authorities, and is a management that is tracked on a very, very regular basis. So if you reduce interest rates, you expect more borrowing for investments in the real sector. But at the same time, that also has a tendency of reducing money that is used for consumption on a day-to-day basis. So it's a balance that we continue to watch on a regular basis. We expect that this will be moderated as the border closure impact fizzles out, and also as the monetary authorities continue to support the MPR rate and therefore ensuring that interest rates are not on the high side. Well, my colleague is saying that I should also remind us that the border closure is temporary, We have really advanced on our discussions between ourselves and our neighbors, and we expect that the outcome of those discussions and agreements is that each party will respect the protocols that we all committed to, and then the borders will be open again. What we're doing is important for our economy. As we sign up to the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement, we have to make sure that we put in place checks to make sure that our economy is not overrun as a result of the coming into effect of the AFCFTA. That's why we have this border closure, to return to the discipline of respecting the protocols that we all committed to.
Thank you. If you could just help me, misleading and very, it will not serve the real purpose if our headlines tomorrow is that inflation is as a result of border closure. No. The border closure, frankly speaking, is what we needed to do, and we had to do it. We cannot continue to subsidize the rest of West Africa. Now, and the benefits from the border closure, for me, I think far surpasses the very little base increase in inflation. We've been able to save over 30% from our fuel consumption, which means that over time we have been subsidizing the fuel consumption of other countries. Within the last 3 months, we've been able to cut down by 15%. So we were able to increase 15%, the duty collected from imports. Within the same period, and it's very, very important, we were able to drastically reduce the volume of arms and ammunition that had been coming to the country, through smuggling, ditto with illicit drugs. And all Nigeria is saying is that please, let's respect the protocol on transit. ECOWAS set up a protocol on transit goods, which is very simple, that if a container meant for Nigeria is dropped in Cotonou, the authorities in the Republic should escort the container to the customs in Nigeria, in Semeboja. And that way, proper duty will be levied and it will be paid. But on the contrary, what we have seen happening is that, and the protocol says you can't break the seal, you cannot open the container. But what has been happening over the years is that our neighbors would transload the container, put about 5 containers on one truck, and drive it to the border, and as if it's only one container that they are going to pay duties on. Worse still, less than 50% of even what is meant for Nigeria, will come through the approved border. So what we have done, and I think it has a very salutary effect, is that we have asked our neighbors, please let's all respect the protocol on transit. If they do that, the borders will be opened. But you cannot continue to play the big brother at the expense of our national security, at the expense of our national economy. Thank you very much. Sorry. Even as we speak, even yesterday there was a meeting between the various within the various actors. I know that the CGs of all the 3 countries involved, that is the controllers of customs of all the 3 countries, they met yesterday. But you see, as we speak today, yes, we have not, we have not reached any agreement as we speak today. But the political channels, everything is going on. But our insistence is that we must all respect the ECOWAS protocol on transit goods. We must respect the various MOUs we entered into, which means that there will be freedom of goods from one member state to the other, provided those goods are manufactured in the state, in the country which is importing it. But what we've witnessed is that goods are imported from everywhere and they repackage and made to look as if they are, they are manufactured in an ECOWAS country and they are brought into Nigeria. And this is discouraging local manufacture, local industry. Thank you.